So, this is Mario Odyssey. And, of course, Mario Odyssey is a fantastic game. I love it. But I would be lying if I said that when I first played this game, I wasn't disappointed. I'd be lying if I said that, because I absolutely was. I remember when I first played Mario 3D World and Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, they immediately grabbed me. I absolutely loved those games. And when I first played this game, it wasn't that I didn't like it. It wasn't that I didn't like it. It was just that it didn't engage me in the same way. And that's simply because of the nature of how different Mario Odyssey has been compared to the last 3 games, or even the last 4 games if you count 3D World. So Nintendo has basically stated that there's 2 different kinds of 3D Mario games. You have the linear platformers like Galaxy 2 and 3D World, and then you have the more exploration-based games like Mario 64 and this. And this is very much an exploration-based Mario game. And my personal bias, and I admit that this is a bias, is that I prefer the more linear style of 3D Mario games. I just prefer platforming. I feel that's more true to what Mario was, how Mario began. So it's closer to the classic 2D games. So that's just my personal preference. So I don't usually compare this game to games like Mario 3D World or Mario 64. I judge this game based on, like, I basically compared this game to Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. And when I first played this game, I preferred those 2 games over this game. Even though this game, objectively speaking, is this game is more like it's objectively better, right? Now, the reason why it's objectively better is because it does many things that it corrected a lot of the problems that Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine had. The biggest problems that Mario 64 and Sunshine had were problems with the camera and problems with the controls. This game has no problems with either. The control is perfect, the camera is as close to perfect as it can be. It's as close to perfect as it can be. I never expect a 3D Mario, any 3D game in third-person perspective, 3D platformer, to have a perfect camera. It's just not going to happen. You can have other third-person games, but third-person platforming games, yeah, they're always going to have some camera angle issues from time to time. But that's not a big deal. Now, the reason why I didn't like this game at first as much as 64 and Sunshine is that it it just didn't have it felt more barren. The levels just felt more barren and lifeless. Um, Now, in all fairness, though, that's part of the reason why the camera is actually good, because there's less clutter and there's less stuff for the camera to get stuck behind. But that's also kind of what made the game feel bland, because there just wasn't a lot going on in the levels. They kind of felt sterile and lifeless. The other problem that I had with the game when I first played it was a little bit too easy. I feel like they tried to make the game intentionally easy for little kids, just so that they can have the satisfaction of beating the game. So a lot of the bosses, a lot of the puzzles and challenges are easy, and getting a lot of moons was pretty simple. Like, you would just find moons like around the corner of a building or something. So, yeah, the moon mechanic is similar to the star mechanic in Mario 64 and so forth, but there are far, far more moons. And this is the game's greatest weakness and also the greatest strength that the game has. It's its greatest weakness because in the beginning, like I said, the moons are easy to get, but later on, there's so many moons, and it encourages exploration tremendously. This is like more in line with an open world 3D Mario game. That's actually what this game is like. And that encourages replayability tremendously. And it also encourages playing the game after you've already beaten it. You know, if you beat this game from beginning to end and that's it, and don't get any more moons, you have not played the real Mario Odyssey. The game doesn't really begin until after you've beaten the game, because that's when the real fun begins. Then you're exploring a lot more. All the stuff leading up to actually beating the game is fairly straightforward. I almost want to say linear, in fact, because you don't backtrack a lot. But after you beat the game, then you backtrack to the previous worlds that you've beaten, and you go and you collect more moons. And it's really, really fun, and it's great because it's something you can do anytime you want, you know? Like, it doesn't matter what mood you're in. You can be in any mood, and you can play this game. It has that very pick-up-and-play nature to it, which I love. So that's why I say that this game really comes into its own only after you've beaten it. And then you start doing all the post-game content. And because of that, like, once you start doing all the post-game content stuff, I definitely think that this is better than Mario 64 and Sunshine. You know, it took a little while for me to realize it, but it definitely is. And it is an absolutely amazing game. Now, about the graphics, I think these graphics are amazing, but they're a little hit and miss. Some levels look absolutely amazing, like that desert level, which reminds me of the powder red Jello packets, the sand in that. I love that red sand. It always reminds me of that stuff. That level is fantastic, and I also like the cooking level. But then you have like these other weird levels where like it kind of combines realistic, like a realistic look with the cartoonish look of Mario, and it just clashes. You know, like you have that realistic Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then you have like other, other things that have like a realistic design, like these humans, for example. They clash so much with Mario, who has that like cartoonish look. Um, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of that clash. And some of the environments don't look all that great. Like there's um that fog world. Yeah, like the colors are a little drab there. I mean, there's a lot of fog, and I mean, I guess that's kind of intentional, but I would have preferred, you know, all the levels being consistently colorful and having the colors pop. This level looks great, you know. Um, but yeah, more often than not, the graphics look tremendous. I also love some of the level themes. Like you have that one stage with it's like kind of like a water stage, but it's the best water stage I've seen in a Mario game, where you have those water fountains and you have to activate the water fountains. And they're more like water geysers, and it just looks really cool. It's so creative, and it's just fun to be in. You know, it's a world that's fun to be in. All these worlds are really fun to be in and explore. I mean, just look at this place. You have this kind of like Chinese theme. It's very, very cool. Very beautiful game. It's unfortunate that it's not running at a true 1080p resolution, but oh well. It's a little bit lower than that. Not the end of the world. So yeah, I mean, the other great thing are I mentioned a little bit about the controls before. Mario has a lot of the moves that he had from the 3D, from the other exploration games, so that's great. He also has a lot of new moves. Of course, the Cappy is a great mechanic. It doesn't feel gimmicky at all. It feels totally within, you know, it feels like it belongs within the Mario arsenal, so to speak. The only complaint I would have about, his moves is that his wall jump, it's great that it's back, but they did gimp it a little bit. He doesn't get enough distance when he uses his wall jump. And I know why they did that, because they wanted to prevent people from going to places that they're not supposed to go. But I mean, like, he has so many moves. I know speedrunners can do that stuff anyway, so it would have been nice if they gave him a better wall jump, but it's not a big deal. So, yeah, in conclusion, a fantastic 3D Mario game. No surprise there. Some people will like this more than the linear style. Some people are going to prefer the linear style more, but it doesn't really matter because it's still amazing. And that's all I gotta say.